Welcome to Cup Check on the best sports radio show. It's the best sports radio show in the world. You're tuning in to WODU, the best in college radio. We got a lot going on. Obviously, we're off Tuesday, so we haven't had a lot to talk about. It's been a whole week since you guys have last tuned in. So a lot going on. Jameis Winston, obviously, there's an autograph scandal and everything there. You get my Heisman pick, who I think is gonna come away with the Heisman if everything kind of continues how it is. ODU's on a bye week. We'll mention how they fared last week. Mention some NBA, a big star with a big injury may hurt the team and hurt the playoff chances. Another big star has fell very far in the NBA rankings, all the way to 40th. We'll tell you who. And then MJ and LeBron aren't agreeing on something. We'll talk about what it is and what the NBA should do about it. Obviously, some baseball. The Royals, just hot right now. The Royals, the way they're playing, they're just going out there and winning baseball games. And the Giants could wrap it up tonight. The Giants could be the ones to meet the Royals in the World Series. But all that and more on Cup Check. And then, of course, we've got the pick'ems, the NFL pick'ems. I went 9-6 last week. Not great, obviously. I took a few upset picks in like Jacksonville and the Vikings, but we'll see this week. We'll try to improve on that, obviously. Still a positive record, 9-6. I'll take it. But I hope to improve on that. So we'll start with college football. Obviously, a lot went on there. The big story right now is Jameis Winston. Winston is kind of in the middle of the press again for things other than football. There are apparently over 2,000 items that are on a website that that have his autographs on it. He has autographs on jerseys, helmets, just pieces of paper, anything. There's just so many autographs. And the NCAA is finding out whether or not he got money for those autographs, because as we know, players in college cannot make money off of anything about themselves. No names, no autographs, no jerseys, no rings, nothing. But Jimbo Fisher is very confident that Jameis did not take any money. If you watch the games, you do see him sign a lot of autographs. He is very involved with the fans, I guess. He likes to sign autographs for the fans and everything. He sits there, or he goes to the sides where people are sitting and he signs anything and everything they have. So it's definitely a sticky situation for Jameis. Especially this is really hurting his draft stock. I know that usually the NFL doesn't really care about the autographing and making money off of it because a lot of NFL people think they should be able to make money off of that. But it's everything that's led up to this and then this on top of it. Just doesn't look good for him, and that's going to possibly hurt his draft stock if it hasn't already. I mean, he's fallen pretty far, and there was a poll out recently ESPN did where they were seeing, they asked, would you want Jameis Winston on your football team as your quarterback if you needed a quarterback? And 70% of the nation said no. I don't know if that's quite true. I think there's a lot of teams out there that would take him. I mean, Buffalo. Anybody that's a Buffalo fan, you should want him. Anybody that's a Jacksonville fan, you should want him. I mean, Bortles might be okay, but until we know more, I think you want Jameis over him. He's really proved himself in the college level. Hasn't lost a game yet. There's some other teams. Minnesota's pretty good with Teddy Bridgewater. The Rams obviously need a quarterback. There's another team that could use them. The Lions, I think that Stafford's done. I think he throws too many interceptions and he won't win the big game for him. So that's going to be something that's very, very interesting to find out. But I would take Jameis probably on that team. There's just quite a few teams that Jameis Winston would fit well on. So to say that 70% of the nation wouldn't want him if they needed a quarterback, I think that'd be a little different if they're actually put in that predicament, because a lot of them were probably Seattle, Broncos, Colts, like fans of teams with very respectable quarterbacks. I mean, the Jets could use them too. So, but there's a lot of swirl, a lot of media scandal going on with that whole epidemic there. Hopefully it turns out well for Jameis though, because you like to see him do well and like to see him actually get to play without something outside of the football field going on around him. Because I mean, there's a big game coming up. Notre Dame, ranked 5th in the nation, number 2 versus number 5. Florida State though, I think Florida State is a better team than Notre Dame. And it'll be close just because I think the off-field activity is kind of a problem and is figuring out, I guess, it is a problem and everything. The off-the-field activity is going to affect everybody on the team, whether they want to say yes or no. Everybody knows it is going to affect them. And Jameis Winston has just been able to go out there and play regardless. So if he's on the field, which it looks like he's going to be, Florida State's probably going to win that football game. At home, I don't see Notre Dame coming into Florida State and beating Jameis Winston at home, regardless of what went on. But if Jameis Winston doesn't play, if something else comes out where he did get money for those before Saturday, that's a different story. Notre Dame will probably win that because Notre Dame's a better team than Clemson was when they beat Clemson a little while back without Jameis Winston. But we'll see. We'll have more on this, obviously, on Tuesday when we're back on the air, because we're back on Tuesday. But until then, that's kind of all we know with Jameis. Probably going to play Sunday or Saturday. So we'll see how that game goes, because that's actually going to be a big game. That'll be a lot of talk leading up to it. But I think during and after the game is going to be more talk on the game and less about the off-field activities of Jameis Winston, the reigning Heisman winner. Talking about Heisman winners, there's a lot of players out there right now doing very well. I mean, Dak Prescott, Mariota, Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley, Bo Wallace, all big names in the world of Heisman voting. Those are probably the top 5. But my favorite, I know, it's the League of Passing. Obviously, Prescott, Mariota. Everett Golston. I mean, Jameis Winston is still there. He's not a Heisman candidate at this point. It doesn't seem like. But I got to go with the running back. The way Melvin Gordon has just been playing this year, it's been remarkable. He has over 1,000 yards rushing, 13 touchdowns, and a touchdown receiving. Not that many receiving yards, but he's more of a power back. I mean, he's averaging just ridiculous numbers in the rushing. He's only dropped below 100 yards once, and that was versus Western Illinois, where they blew him out, to say the least. And he got a touchdown off of a reception. That's the only reception touchdown of the season during that game. But, I mean, LSU, they lost, but he rushed for 140 yards. Solid day for him, 140 yards and a touchdown. Bowling Green, he put up 253, and then Northwestern, he put up 259. 175, 140. I mean, other than that one fluke game of 38, he hasn't put up anything less than 140 yards rushing. That's just a remarkable number for him. And I mean, Bowling Green, he put up 5 touchdowns. Illinois, he put up 4 touchdowns. If you're not, nowadays, middle linebackers, I've said this before, middle linebackers are much smaller and quicker. And that leads to power backs such as Melvin Gordon, 6'1", 207, pretty big back, leads to him being able to go out there and power and run over all the middle linebackers that used to be able to stop him. If he gets to the secondary, or into the second level, the linebackers in secondary, his speed and size is going to put him probably in the end zone, and he's found the end zone multiple times, 18 times to be exact, 13 times to be exact. And, I mean, looking at it, they play Maryland, who's not a great rushing defense. So they're probably going to run all over Maryland. They're actually off this week, so Wisconsin will be back next week. They play Maryland, Rutgers, Purdue, Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota. Other than Nebraska, I mean, you look at the record or the roster of Wisconsin, and you see Melvin Gordon. They don't pass the ball a whole lot with their quarterback. I mean, he's looking at 653 yards. Tanner, 5 interceptions, 5 touchdowns. They just don't throw the ball, and they don't need to. I mean, when you have a running back like that, And Gordon, you run the ball as much as you can, and that's why he's carried it 132 times. They haven't even attempted over 100 passes on the season, and they're 6 games in and 4-2. It shows you that running the ball may not be able to win you every game, but the way that this guy's running the ball, you're going to win the majority of them. I mean, you lost to LSU, and you lost to Northwestern. Northwestern, he did everything he could. I mean, he had 253 rushing yards. He couldn't do anything more. That was really the offense, quarterback-wise at least, because you look at it, 20-14, he put up those 2 touchdowns. He put up that 1 touchdown and 259 rushing yards. You can't ask for much more from your starting running back. He tried to do everything he could, and he really did. I mean, you look at the quarterback for Wisconsin, who's now not the quarterback anymore, and Stave. He had 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Not a great day. Actually, that's a horrible day, only throwing for 114 yards. It's not a good day for him. And then also the back, who now is the starter, Tanner, 1 interception, no touchdowns. So Wisconsin really relies on the run. And for that reason, they're not the pretty team that everybody likes to watch. But they win games, and they have the Heisman winner on the team. I mean, if Gordon can keep this up, unless Dak Prescott does some amazing, amazing feats within the next few games, within the remainder of the games, I think he'll pass Mariota. Mariota's going to have a bad week this weekend with Washington. Mariota, yeah, he doesn't have any interceptions. And I actually think Mariota's probably a better choice than Prescott. Mariota's got 1,600 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's really the key there. No interceptions. He's got less rushing yards and less touchdowns on the ground. But Mariota hasn't thrown the ball, interception. You look at that. If you can take care of the ball, you're going to win the games. And the majority of the games, they have won. It's that simple to break it down. But Prescott, he's been on a tear, obviously, beating number 8 LSU, number 6 Texas A&M, and number 2 Auburn. And he had very, very good games in all of those. I mean, Prescott has been playing very well. I'm not here to debate that at all. But is he better than Melvin Gordon? I don't think so. I think Prescott will probably win if he can continue to win football games. If Prescott goes undefeated, he'll probably win the Heisman just due to the fact that it's a passing league. I mean, when you have a guy throw 246 yards, he only had 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, though. To have him still at the top over Mariota or Gordon, I understand Auburn was the 2nd best team in the league. I get that. But at some point, you got to say, what did he do on the field? And yeah, Texas A&M, he had a remarkable game. I mean, he had 5 touchdowns. Or no, he had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 268 passing yards. But he just hasn't seemed to have that like spark, I guess, that one thing that the Heisman looks like he can go out and dominate, because he's throwing about 2 touchdowns a game, it seems, and for about 250 yards. That's pretty much what Gordon's doing, except more touchdowns, and he's running it. He's rushed for over 250 yards twice. Over 250 yards twice. Prescott has thrown for less than 250 yards in multiple games. And this guy's ran over 250 yards. I get the whole, Prescott runs the ball too. He's pretty good on his feet. But I think the way Melvin Gordon, you know what you're getting from Melvin Gordon. Gordon's going to run the ball down your throat and score touchdowns and rush for over 1,000 yards in 6 games. Mariota, I think, is second. Mariota's second right now. Gordon's third. Prescott's obviously 1. I think at the end of the season, Melvin Gordon is going to be the best player. If he wins the Heisman or not, that depends on what Prescott does in the victory column, because yes, Gordon has 2 losses. But the best player in college football right now is Melvin Gordon, and he can continue this tear through the NFL or through the NCAA. Looking at the schedule ahead. And I wouldn't be surprised if he broke 250 yards a couple more times this season. It just looks like that's what's going to happen. He's put up more than 4 touchdowns twice, and we're only 6 games in. It's bound to happen. At some point, he's going to start to jump a quarterback because he's only jumped a few quarterbacks in Bo Wallace and Golston for Notre Dame, who's playing very well, but who won't play well versus Jameis Winston this year. But staying with college football for a second, Old Dominion on a bye week I mentioned earlier. Last week they didn't play too well. They went out to Texas and played UTEP. They lost 42-35. Not a great day for them. Lowry played very well. Lowry got the majority of the carries. Something that we've been talking about on the show for a while, at least I have. He had 117 yards, 2 touchdowns. The true freshman out there putting in work. He's going to be kind of the shining spot for him next year when Heineke graduates and move on. Heineke didn't throw an interception, only threw for 196 yards, though, 3 touchdowns. But the defense is really what struggled here. You give up 42 points to UTEP, you're not going to be able to win the football game. Caused no turnovers. Either team didn't cause any turnovers, no interceptions, no fumbles. And that's really what Old Dominion needs. They need those turnovers. And then you look at time of possession, and that's really what tells it. Old Dominion had 18 minutes and 34 seconds in time of possession. UTEP had 41 minutes and 26 seconds. Old Dominion will run and gun all the time. They will just fast pace. They will continually no huddle, try to get down the field as quick as possible, which leads to these high-scoring games, 42-35. But the problem with that is the other teams are just as powerful, and the defense, when it can't force turnovers, can't stop the other team. They're usually either an interception, fumble, or a touchdown for the other team. That's what happens. So if Old Dominion has no turnovers forced, they're going to lose the football game. It comes down to that because Heineke usually throws 1 interception. He hasn't been great this year. 3 touchdowns, no interception was a great day for him. Lowry had an amazing game. I mean, they scored 5 touchdowns. Lowry had a career day, and they still couldn't win because the defense couldn't stop UTEP. I mean, the defense gave up quite a few yards to a lot of people. I mean, they had 313 yards just rushing with, it looks like, about 6 guys. And then their quarterback only threw for 152, but they gave right there, it's over 460 yards total, where Old Dominion looks like they had about 300. So it shows the defense fails to stop the long plays and the long drives, and that's really what's killing Old Dominion, who's now sitting at 3-4. They get a bye week, a much-needed bye week, too. Coach is probably going to... They're on a 3-game losing streak to Middle Tennessee Marshall, who's ranked top 25 now, and then UTEP. Coach is going to have to get them in shape, though. They go out to Western Kentucky next week, and then Vanderbilt the week after that. 2 tough teams, 2 tough games. I mean, Western Kentucky is 2-3, hasn't won in CUSA, but also they've played Middle Tennessee and UAB, who Old Dominion lost to Middle Tennessee. And they actually lost to Middle Tennessee, Florida, or Western Kentucky. They lost to them in overtime, 3 overtimes to be exact. So they played them very well, where Old Dominion didn't do as well. But moving over to a different sport, in NBA, you look at, I said a big star got a big injury. Kevin Durant broke his foot and will have surgery. They're going to reevaluate it in 6 weeks, but it looks like it's probably going to be at least an 8-week injury. Now, a lot of people are jumping on the, OKC's done, they're in trouble, this isn't going to be good. I disagree there in the fact that you learn who your bench players are and you get a deeper team when a star is hurt. You can't fill Durant's spot with one player. It's just not possible. So they're going to use a multitude of players. They're probably going to put like Perry Jones in there. Reggie Jackson may start. They may move Westbrook to 2 and then Lamb to 3, kind of a smaller run and gun lineup. Then you have like Ibaka and Adams or Perkins if they really still start Perkins. But they learn a lot from these young players. They just got the small forward from uh, Stanford in the draft as well. So they have these young players. They got Mitch McGary, who's also going to be a nice addition there. They have players that will be able to try and fill the void and will become better and more developed because of his injury. But the team will take a little bit of a hit. They'll probably be about 500 when he comes back. Westbrook is a very good player. Westbrook is probably top 5 players, top 10, top 5. Yeah, if you think about it, Westbrook, he's definitely top 10 and possibly top 5 players right now in the league, just because of the way he plays. Yeah, he turns the ball over a lot. He takes ill-advised shots, but he makes plays that no other player can make. And he just has the athleticism that nobody in the league has. He has the best athleticism in the league by far. There's nobody even close. The way he can just bounce and dunk from the free throw line at a 6'1" frame is ridiculous. And he'll be able to take the team and carry them some, but he'll realize that he needs Kevin Durant. And I think the team will work okay without him, but they'll be about 500, but they'll strengthen the bench so when Durant does come back, and they will make the playoffs. They're not going to miss the playoffs, obviously. Even though the West is good, OKC is good without Durant. They need those players to step up. I think Lamb is a pretty good player, but we'll see throughout the season how good of a player Lamb actually is. But I think he's definitely better than Tabo. He should have been Tabo. He should have been in Tabo's spot a while ago, I think. I don't think, and now Tabo's gone, so he still may not get to play because they might do a Jackson Westbrook combo at 1 and 2. But Durant's out 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, probably 8 weeks. It's going to be a hit for OKC, but it's not going to be as bad as people are thinking. People are thinking they're going to miss the playoffs. It's going to be awful. It's only 8 weeks. It's not going to be that bad. Just as long as Beal's out, broken hand. It's going to be okay. It really is. You just got to give it a little time. And they'll struggle at first, but they'll find their way and get the wins. I mentioned that a top player fell to 40th in the rankings, in the NBA poll rankings. Kobe had dropped to 40. Big deal because Kobe was one of the best players in the league and one of the best of all time. But I mean, you look at some of the names that are above him. Andre Iguodala at 39. You got Klay Thompson, Rajon Rondo, Dwayne Wade. 40 seems like an okay spot for Kobe Bryant to be. Yes, his work ethic will probably put him better than 40th when it's all said and done at the end of the season. But right now, coming off of an injury, hasn't played a whole lot, older, 40 seems about right. Everybody's kind of up in arms about it, but 40 seems about right for Kobe in where he's going to rank. He was 25th last year. He got injured and hasn't played, and now he's a year older. He dropped less than 25 spots. He dropped 15 spots. That's not bad for Kobe. Yeah, there's 39 people above him, but I mean, you look at it, D Wade's old, but he played last year. We know what D Wade's going to bring. It's not great, but we know what he's going to bring. We don't know what Kobe's going to do, and we don't know how he's going to play. That's why Kobe at 40 is okay. At the end of the season, we'll reevaluate it. It'll be different. But at the beginning of the season, not knowing what he's going to bring, not knowing what he's going to do, and coming off of an injury like he is, 40 is about right. 40 is about what it should be. It is. That's what it should be. 40. No lower, no higher. 40. My surprise was D Wade was 36. I mean, D Wade, yeah, he's old, but is he 36th? I mean, that puts Chris Bosh over him. Is Chris Bosh better than him? Probably, but 36 seems a little high, actually. But is he? But we know what we're getting. We don't know what we're getting with Kobe. That's why Kobe's 40th. Another big, I said LeBron and Michael Jordan were at odds over something. Well, that is the fact of shortening the season. That's kind of the talks right now. First, it was Dirk. Dirk came out. Dirk's an older guy. He came out and said that 82 games is long, but he understands why it'll never change to less because you lose money. Obviously, the NBA wants to make as much money as they can, and why shouldn't they? So I understand that, but he said that 82 games is a long season for anybody. They also talked about making the game shorter. And then LeBron came out and said that making the game shorter doesn't matter. He'd play 50 minutes if that's what it took. But he thinks it should be shortened quite a few games. LeBron, that is. Thinks it should be shortened 15 games-ish. 15 games. And that makes you... And then Jordan came back and said that he never thought about shortening games and wouldn't want to. I mean, he never wanted to not play basketball, if that makes any sense. Jordan said, he came out and said, if they shorten the games, or shorten the season when I was playing, I would have just played somewhere else. Michael Jordan would have just went to Rutgers Park and played. Because he loves basketball. That is Jordan. Jordan is basketball. Where LeBron, it looks like maybe he's not all basketball. He wants to be headlines. He wants to have this and that. Where if you love the game of basketball, no matter what, you're always going to want more of it. Yeah, it's a long, grueling season. I understand that. Back-to-backs, that's awful. But Kevin Durant didn't come out and say, hey, I want a shortened season, because you see Kevin Durant out there playing at Rutgers Park, playing here, playing there. You see Kobe doing the same thing. Kobe plays here and there. Everybody's there. But then you see LeBron, and LeBron's asking for a shorter season, and you don't see him play basketball in the off season. You see him lose weight. It shows that that's one thing that will always keep LeBron lower than Jordan. Because Jordan, basketball is what he cared about. That's the one thing Jordan cared about, basketball. He didn't care about his public perception, which really came with his success in basketball. He didn't care about the ongoing talks of the NBA's and the Players Association. He didn't care about that. He didn't try to be the leader of that. He wanted to go out there and play basketball. He wanted to go out there and beat you by 50 and drop 50 points. That was what Jordan wanted to do. And LeBron wants to get wrapped up in everything. LeBron wants to be the Players Association president. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. He wants to have his word input on everything. Jordan just wanted to play basketball, and that's all he wanted to do. That's it. When he played basketball, he wanted to play basketball as much as he could. And LeBron doesn't think that same way. And that's really the separation between them. Yeah, you look at the talent, you say, oh yeah, he's up there with Jordan. But he doesn't have that love of the game drive that Jordan had. And nobody does. I mean, Jordan, I'm not saying LeBron doesn't care about playing basketball or care about the game, because he loves the game, obviously. But Jordan loved it on another level. Jordan wanted to play basketball all the time. That's what he wanted to do. He always wanted to play basketball. So, to hear this from players now, Jordan's taken aback by it, because he grew up playing basketball and wanted to play basketball all the time. And now there's players out there who want to shorten the season. And I mean, Dirk's an older guy. I understand where he was coming from. I mean, 82 games, older body. I'm sure Steve Nash probably wants to shorten games. But LeBron should want to play as many games as he can, because he's not getting any younger. I mean, he's getting into the waning times of his career, or the waning peak of his career, I should say. He's still at the peak. He's not fading out. But at some point, you got to say, hey, just suck it up and play 82 games. Everybody else did it. It's just what it is. And if you love the game of basketball, 82 games will be okay with you. You will be all right playing 82 games at 48 minutes a game. So that's what LeBron and Jordan are feuding over, as they say. But moving on here to the baseball. The world of baseball obviously is in the peak right now in the playoffs. Kansas City swept the Orioles. It wasn't even close. Kansas City hasn't lost a playoff game this season, and actually has not lost a playoff game in 11 straight games. They're coming up tie on the record of the Yankees at 12. The Yankees won 12 in a row twice. But we find out tonight who is going to be playing, or possibly we find out tonight who is going to be playing the Royals in the World Series, as San Francisco is up 3-1 on St. Louis. They play tonight at San Francisco, 8:07 first pitch. It looks like San Francisco is probably going to take it here. And the thing is, it's actually been it's been Cardinals, San Francisco, Cardinals. So it's San Francisco's time. According to history, the past 3 World Series have been either one of those two teams. So it looks like San Francisco is probably going to close it out tonight. Wainwright starts for St. Louis tonight. They're really hoping he can come out there and get a win for them and get them back in this series. But Bumgarner's been pretty good. He's got a 1 win, 0 ERA, where Wainwright's given up about 4 on his ERA and has a loss in the postseason. We'll see what they can do. Bumgarner's a little better on the road than at home. Odd little statistic there. He's better on the road than at home. Not something you expect. But I think he just gets it done tonight. I think San Francisco and the Royals play in the World Series. Not something you would expect at the beginning of the season. At least the Royals, at least. The Royals haven't lost a playoff game yet this season, and they just look dominating. And it's really through their defense. I mean, their pitching and defense have been what really elevated them. They only scored 2 runs last game. So, they're not putting up 17, 18 runs, you know. They scored 2. Then the game got postponed, obviously. It's just they haven't been putting up the large 6 runs. That was their most output. And they did that on the Orioles. 8 runs. So they won 8 runs, then 6 runs, then 2 runs, then 2 runs. For the most part, they're doing it with the defense. Yeah, they're getting the bat on the ball sometimes, but the majority of the time, they are just doing it with the pitching, the defense. The pitching, I believe there are 6 innings in the rotation, the back half, have not given up a run in 6 straight innings now. I think like the middle relievers. So they have a whole organization that prides themselves on not giving up a lot of runs in a game where a lot of runs aren't given up anymore. I mean, you look at a baseball game, and if you see 4, 5, 6 runs, you're like, wow, that was a high-scoring baseball game. So being able to hold a team to 1 or no runs is something Kansas City is doing good at and a reason they keep winning. And they're looking good. It's hard to pick against them. I mean, it's really hard to pick against them losing right now. Until we see them lose to another team, I can't say that they're going to lose. I think Kansas City is going to win the World Series. First time since '85 that they've been in the World Series. And I think they're going to win it. The way they're playing, the way everything's going, it just seems like their year. It's kind of got that the Red Sox last year feel. It's just their year. Something's clicking, something's going right. It's their time to win it. Moving on to the NFL, a lot going on in there. Obviously, we got big games going on. NFL games tonight, obviously. Thursday night football. One of the best inventions, obviously. Baseball, or football, one of the best. Patriots and Jets tonight. Patriots have been looking better. They're 4-2 now. The Jets are looking awful, although they played the Broncos closer than the score showed. But the way that the Jets are playing, I can't see them winning versus the Patriots tonight. I mean, the Patriots are getting it together. Yeah, they lost their running back. Now they're relying on Ridley. But they still have Tom Brady. They still have Edelman. They still have Gronk. Yeah, they've lost a couple of guys in the defense. They still have Revis. They still have players that are gonna get the job done for them. And the Jets are awful. The Jets are just they have one win, and we're surprised at that. The Jets are really bad, and it was at Oakland by 5. The Jets are really bad. I mean, they may not get another win. It's that bad. They may not get another win, which is interesting to think about. And Rex Ryan's probably fired at the end of the year if he makes it to the end of the year. I don't know if he'll make it to the end of the year. Rex Ryan, the way he's coaching the team, the defense isn't doing great. The offense has never been good under him. I don't see how the Jets win this game unless the Patriots beat themselves. But it's at Foxborough. Patriots, they're the better team, and therefore they're probably going to win the game. Obviously, the better team doesn't always win. That's why they play it. But my pick is with the Patriots. Then we got the Falcons and Ravens. The Ravens coming off of that huge win over Tampa Bay. Something that everybody expected the Ravens to win. But, I mean, Flacco had 5 touchdowns in the first half. I mean, they didn't throw the ball in the second half. Tampa Bay, that's the second time they've been crushed, and the first time was by Atlanta, the team that the Ravens are playing. But I think the Ravens are a better team than Atlanta. The Ravens are probably going to win the AFC North. Yeah, you look at the Bengals, but the Bengals just tied, and didn't know people still tied. The Browns, somebody said are the favorite to win that. I can't see that when the Ravens are still playing like they are. The Steelers are playing awful, so the Ravens are going to win this game, and they're probably going to win that division because there's not much. Maybe the Bengals, but I don't think the Bengals are for real. And the Ravens are playing well without Ray Rice. Not everybody expected that. They thought Ray Rice was kind of that team. They lose him, they lose the team, but it doesn't seem that way. And they're at home. The Falcons haven't won on the road yet, so for that reason, I think the Ravens win this game. Probably pretty handily. Probably by 14 points. I think that's probably the spread there. Then the Titans travel to Washington. This is going to be a game where it's going to be close, but it's going to be an ugly close. It's going to be like 17-14. It's not going to be a pretty game to watch. Jake Locker's not a good quarterback. Kirk Cousins is playing okay. He's not doing great. He's not doing what everybody expected him to. And really, there's no competition when RG3 comes back now. I mean, Kirk Cousins hasn't won them a game since the one RG3 pretty much set them up for them to win in the versus Jacksonville. I mean, since then, they haven't won a game. I mean, they played Philadelphia close. I guess you can say that might save them. Then they lost to New York bad. They lost to Seattle by 10. Yeah, they played him okay, but he didn't have great success. And then they lost to Arizona by 10. Cousins has 1,500 passing yards and 10 touchdowns, but he's got quite a few interceptions to go with those touchdowns. I mean, when you're looking at 8 interceptions to 10 touchdowns, that's not a good ratio. Not something you want to see from your starting quarterback. So I think that whole, if RG3 comes back and Kirk Cousins is doing well, who's going to... It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter because it's not going to happen because Cousins isn't doing well. Cousins isn't playing to the level everybody thought he was going to play after he put up that great performance on the Eagles that still lost. They still lost that game, so he hasn't really won a game. He won the one versus Jacksonville, which RG3 played in, might we add. Don't forget that. So they haven't won a game that RG3 hasn't been in. Does that say Kirk Cousins should be starting quarterback? Everybody was quick to jump on that bandwagon of RG3's falling off and Kirk Cousins is going to lead us to the promised land. But Cousins hasn't led you to the promised land, Redskins. He really hasn't. He's thrown, quite a few touchdowns in the past 3 games. He's thrown, it looks like about 8. No, about 7. But his passer rating this year is 88.3, 8 interceptions, 10 touchdowns. His completion percentage is 61%. That's not something you want to see from your quarterback. I mean, career-wise, his completion's at a 50. That's average. I mean, you look at RG3, career-wise, he's got a better rating. Yeah, he had a good first season. That's going to boost it. Regardless, he had a better first season, or he had a better career numbers so far than Kirk Cousins. He's got 17 interceptions. Yeah, that's pretty bad. 12 interceptions in his second year, 2013. He played 13 games. But his completion rate has never dropped below 60. His lowest was 60.1. Kirk Cousins right now has a completion rating of 60. I think it was 63 or 68. And he's the next promise. He's the next guy to lead you to the Super Bowl. He's an average quarterback. He's average. I mean, Kirk Cousins' best completion percentage was 3 games in 2012 at 68%. But he only threw it 48 times. And he had a good pass rating, yeah. But other than that, he hasn't topped 61%. He's played 5 games twice now. He's played 5 games in 2014, 5 games in 2013. And he has a 52.3 and a 61.7. That doesn't scream starting quarterback of a team that has high standards in the number 2 draft pick a couple of years ago. Kirk Cousins is not the guy. RG3 may not be the guy. RG3, when he's been healthy, has been the guy, has been a very solid quarterback, one of the better quarterbacks in the league, I might add. I mean, his first season, he played very well. Everybody forgets that because of his injury problems. If he can stay healthy, he's a very, very good quarterback. Kirk Cousins is healthy and is an average quarterback. He's not very good. He's average at best. Richard Sherman, he says he's average at best. I mean, Cousins is not your carry us to the promised land guy. Cousins is, we can deal with him playing the way he is because he's doing all right for us so we don't look awful until RG3 gets back. And then we're going to make it sound like something, and then RG3 is going to play and get hurt again. But if RG3 can stay healthy, and when RG3 is healthy, he has the starting position. Kirk Cousins is a backup. There's nothing more to be said about it. Yeah, he might be better than Geno Smith. But to be better than Geno Smith, and by the way, he has the exact same amount of wins as Geno Smith, and RG3 played half of that game, and it was versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville hasn't won a game either. Jacksonville and Oakland both have not won a game, and Jacksonville's had one more shot at it. So he won half of a game versus the worst team in the league. Does that say starting quarterback, franchise quarterback over a guy you just took second overall? I don't think so. I think Cousins. Oh, well, you can only keep one of them. Trade Cousins. Get an offensive line for RG3 so he can stay healthy. Because RG3 is your quarterback. Cousins is mediocre. He's okay. You can live with him making a couple of mistakes because you expect him to do that because he's not leading you to the promised land. He's okay. But the Redskins are going to lose this game. I mean, Tennessee actually has one of the better passing defenses in the league. Well, they did. The past few games, they've struggled. I mean, but the past few games, they've played Dallas, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Cleveland. All hot teams. Yes, Cleveland is a hot team right now. And then they beat Jacksonville. At Washington, Washington may put up a fight, but I think Tennessee wins this one. I don't even know if it's going to be that close, honestly. I mean, the Redskins will be lucky to put up 17 points. They'll be lucky to do that. So the Titans are probably going to win 27-10, 27-13, 27-16. They win by more than 10, or 10. They win by 10 or more. Seattle travels to play the Rams. Seattle's obviously coming off of that loss to The Cowboys, who is surprise team of the league, obviously. In Seattle, a little worry there, but they're playing the Rams, who their quarterback isn't doing great. Obviously, he's new, so there's that. Stacy's not playing well, not doing what he was expected to do at the beginning of the season. And Seattle has one of the best defenses in the league. So even though it's at the Rams Stadium, I got to take the Seahawks because you can't go against the Super Bowl favorites when they're playing a team that's 1-5 and hasn't won at home. The Browns travel to Jacksonville. The Browns have been hot. They really have. They're 3-2. They're third in the division under Cincinnati and the Ravens, Baltimore. They're going to beat Jacksonville, probably pretty convincingly. But the Browns are not the favorite to win that division. They'll be lucky to they won't make the playoffs. I mean, because Cincinnati and Baltimore will probably make the playoffs. So that takes away one wild card. And then you look at other teams in the league. You look at AFC teams. The Colts are there. You just got to look at all of them, and you see the Browns aren't going to make the playoffs. It's not going to happen. Not possible. I mean, you got the Broncos and Chargers. One of them are going to get the wild card because they're both going to make the playoffs. Right there, the Browns are out. But the Browns win this game, but they're not going to make the playoffs, so they're not the favorite to win that division. They're not that good. They're playing pretty good right now, but they're not a good football team. As of right now, a couple of years probably, they have some good pieces there. But right now, they are not a good football team. Not a great football team. They're a good football team. The Bengals travel to the Colts. The Bengals coming off of a tie to the Panthers. That was at home. They're 3-1-1. The Colts have really picked it up since the beginning of the season. The Colts were 0-2, and then they've won 4 straight. Yeah, they started off with Denver and Philadelphia. That's why they started 0-2. Then they beat Jacksonville, Tennessee, Baltimore, and Houston. The problem with the Colts is their defense is awful. Their defense is horrible. But they have the best quarterback in the league in Andrew Luck. And that's why they'll beat the Bengals. It'll be close. It'll be a high-scoring game, too. It'll be like 42-35. But I think the Colts win it. Win a close one. Andrew Luck leads a game-winning drive in the last 2-3 minutes. The Vikings traveling to the Bills. I like the Vikings. I like the Vikings this year just because I think they have a lot of good pieces around them. But they can't seem to win the games when they need to. But I know the Bills are all right. They're 3-3. I think Minnesota's just traveling to Buffalo isn't that big of a travel for him. Teddy Bridgewater's finding himself. He's starting to find himself. Still hasn't thrown a touchdown yet, but he's getting better at what he's doing. He's learning the offense more. He's starting to trust people a little more. In time, he'll be a better quarterback. Obviously, he needs the more time and everything like that. Said he's going to be a better than RG3, and I'm sticking by that stat there. But I think he can put it together versus Buffalo and win this game close, probably low scoring, 21-17. And I think the Vikings sneak one out and go to 3-4. It's going to be close though, but Vikings win that. Dolphins travel to the Bears. The Bears are 3-3. They're the hot and coldest team, depending on the week. I have the Bears winning, but the problem with the Bears is they'll win one game convincingly, and then they'll just lose the next game and look awful. They don't have any consistency, and that's why it's hard to see them doing much more in the playoffs because they're 3-3. Packers are 4-2. I mean, Vikings are 2-4. Could be 3-4. Bears could be 3-4. It's close. They aren't playing great, obviously. They're playing awful football, to say the least. The Lions are 4-2, so they're almost at the bottom of the division. But they're better than the Dolphins, and that's who they got to beat this week. So for that reason, I take the Bears. Their offense is high-powered. The defense apparently isn't as good as we were expecting it to be. Jay Cutler's having a career year. Forte's having a very good year. And Jeffrey and Marshall are having phenomenal years because of Cutler. The Saints are traveling to Detroit to play the Lions. The Lions, again, are another team that they look good and then they look bad. They're 4-2. They're better than the Bears. But the Saints are looking really bad. I mean, the Saints haven't been able to put anything together this season. They are playing awful football. They've lost to Dallas, Atlanta, and Cleveland. They beat Minnesota, who at the time, I don't believe Teddy Bridgewater was their quarterback. No, because Teddy Bridgewater came in versus Atlanta, which was the week after. And then they beat Tampa Bay in overtime. The bye week will help them, but the fact that they're traveling to the Lions' place, it's in a dome, which again will help, but the defense isn't there, so Stafford's going to be able to throw all over them. Yeah, they're missing Calvin Johnson, one of the best quarterback or wide receivers in the league. But Stafford's going to find a way. Tate's having an amazing season so far with the new team. They're going to run the ball well with Joique Bell, Reggie Bush. So the Lions are going to win it. It's going to be closer. A lot of these games are probably going to be close. But the Saints just look bad, and they're going to be bad for a while if they keep playing the way they are. The Panthers travel to the Packers. I like the Panthers in this one. They played well against Cincinnati, came out with a tie. I know, a little weird. But the running attack hasn't been there. Cam Newton's finally starting to get healthy. He looked like himself last week, rushing for 149 rushing yards. No. He had a touchdown last week, and he ran the ball very well. I'll get the stats here in a second. But that's something you want to see from your quarterback when he's a mobile quarterback. I mean, he hadn't been playing well running-wise until last week. And last week he looked like himself. He rushed for 107 yards and a touchdown, his first rushing touchdown of the season, and his first rushing over 100 yards this season. So it shows that he's healthy, his ankle's better, and everything like that. The Packers' defense struggles. They barely beat Miami last week. So I think the Panthers are a better team than Miami and will beat the Packers, kind of shock them a little bit, and keep that division close for the Packers, Bears, Lions, Vikings. They're all going to be within two games of each other for the majority of the season, it looks like. Chargers hosting the Chiefs. The Chargers are probably the best team in football right now. That's not a fact we would have said at the beginning of the season. They've been able to run through all their running backs and still find a guy who can do it. And Oliver, Brandon Oliver, is one of the better running backs in the league right now, at least fantasy-wise. And they've been able to win. San Diego's won 5 straight. They lost the first game to Arizona by 1. Then they beat Seattle, Buffalo, Jacksonville, New York, Oakland, Kansas, and they're about to play Kansas City. Yeah, those weren't great teams besides Seattle, and Buffalo was undefeated at the time. They'll beat Kansas City, and then they have Denver coming up. That'll be a real test for them. But right now, San Diego's looking unstoppable. I mean, they're looking like another level. I mean, they shut out the defense, shut out the Jets, who, yeah, they don't have a high-powered defense, or offense, but they got shut out. But it's not going to be close. The Chargers are probably going to win by 21 points. Start everybody you have on the Chargers because this can be a nice fantasy day for them. Cardinals travel to the Raiders. I really like the Cardinals. Yeah, they lost to Denver, but that's their only loss of the season, and it was away at Denver. The Raiders are looking really bad as well. Second worst team or worst team, depending on how you want to clarify them in Jacksonville. Both haven't won a game yet. The Cardinals, it'll be close. Surprisingly close. Cardinals will win by a touchdown, maybe a little less, maybe 5-6. The Raiders played better last week versus the Chargers, which gives them a sign of hope. But I think Cardinals have a better defense, and their offense obviously isn't as good, but their defense is better, so that's why they'll win that game. The Giants travel to the Cowboys. It's hard to choose against the Cowboys right now. I didn't think I'd say it at the beginning of the season, but the Cowboys are playing on another level, and as long as DeMarco Murray's getting more touches, or getting the majority of the touches, and Tony Romo doesn't have to sling it downfield 200, 300 times in 5 games, you're going to be okay. The Cowboys are going to be okay. In the way Victor Cruz just got injured, Jennings is still injured. It's Manning and a bunch of backups right now playing, and the Giants look bad before that, so it's not a good situation to be in. The 49ers come to the Broncos. The Broncos, I don't like the 49ers. Yeah, they won last week versus the Rams, though. Colin Kaepernick did look like a very good quarterback. I'll give you that. I've been on record saying I would take almost any quarterback in the league over Colin Kaepernick, and I still would. I think he just had a good day versus a bad team. And the Broncos are going to just destroy them. I don't think it's going to be close. I think the Broncos are going to win by 24. I think you're going to expose the 49ers and show that 49ers aren't that good. The 49ers are 4-2 right now. But I don't see the 49ers keeping up with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is one of the best quarterback probably of all time. There's no way they keep up with him. They just can't. And Peyton Manning's going to throw all over the good defense they have. And then Monday night, the battle of 3 and 3s. Taking the Texans over the Steelers. The Steelers looked awful last week versus the Browns. Not scoring a touchdown until the last quarter, like 5 minutes left in the quarter. Texans at 3 and 3, but they've looked solid through their losses. I mean, they lost to New York, probably shouldn't have there, but I mean, they lost to Dallas in overtime, and then they lost by 5-6 to Indianapolis with one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So the Texans are better than the record appears, and the Steelers are probably worse than the record appears. And for that, I take the Texans. So winners this week are going to be Patriots, Ravens, Titans, Seahawks, Browns, Colts, Vikings, Bears, Lions, Panthers, Chargers, Cardinals, Cowboys, Broncos, and Texans. So go put your money on it. Go bet it up. And see you on Tuesday, where we get an hour and a half again. That'll be nice. Missed that out. So till next time, thanks for tuning in to Cup Check on WODU, the best in college radio.